Hello, my Aloha tribe. Excuse me. And welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. I'm so sorry for that face I might have been making. My countdown camera got stuck at 1. I know. It's telling me you're number 1. So anyways, welcome to today, day number 22 of Body Mindfulness. Today's subject is about reflection. To reflect. All right, but first, let's get started with the Soul Truth cards while I wait for people to come on. Good morning, Eileen. So let's see what the Soul Truth card has to say for us today and how we can segue it into reflecting. So this week is really thinking about all the stuff that we've learned so far in Body Mindfulness. And, oh, we already had that one. Who am I ready to forgive? Who are you ready to forgive? So, wow. Okay. I guess I'm supposed to pick from this group of cards, so let's gather these bad boys. They just kind of fell out of the deck. Let's gather these up and see what we got. See what comes out. All right. So let's see. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. It was a nice long weekend, right, for those who live out here in the United States. All right, here we go. What am I waiting for? Someone else to do it for me? What am I waiting for? Someone else to do it for me? Sometimes it feels that way, right? Are you waiting on someone else before you can take the big leap? What if you were to take life into your own hands and forge your own unique path? Put your heart into action and ask yourself, what risk can you take to move towards your dreams? Make a decision and do it. No more waiting for others. Do it scared. Take the leap. Today's soul action. No more thinking, only doing. Be brave and you will discover what you were really made of. Wild soul, strong heart, can't lose. So again, no more thinking, only doing. Be brave and you will discover what you were really made of. So, you know, there's a big truth in that. And the way we're going to segue into today's card is one of the ways to do this and to push forward and to show yourself what you're really made of is to reflect. Reflect on, you know, your path, where you've been, how far you've been doing this, or how long you've been doing this and how far you've gotten. And, you know, are you waiting for someone else to just give you that go ahead saying, just do it, just do it? Or are you able to just kind of jump in and say, you know what, screw it, I'm going to do this myself. I'm going to try to figure it out myself. So sometimes that can be hard. It can be scary, right? Yeah. Jumping in sometimes alone is like leaping without a net and just knowing it's going to appear. But you know, when you take that leap, and sometimes you take that leap by yourself, it's amazing how people pop in. Okay. So in the end, when you finally land on your feet, you probably have a whole team of people with you, a whole group of people with you, just saying, wow, look what you did. Because your support group will form itself as, you know, you're moving along through this. And I don't mean support in the way like, oh, maybe like grief support or something. I mean, it could be very well much that if that's what you need. But I mean, when you take that leap, the people who are meant to be on this journey with you will end up popping into your path. So sometimes you just have to take that first step, make that commitment to that thought, and just do it. So I've been watching a TV show. It's a TV show that's been off the air for, God, probably a good 16 years now. They had a resurgence a couple years back with a year in the life of the show. But one of the characters said something, and I'm looking at it right now because I thought, wow, this is great. Jump in, be scared, and stick with it until it is fun. Jump in, be scared, and stick with it until it is fun. Which is very similar to another quote that I've shared from another actor. But I really like that one too, this one especially, because, you know, stick with it until it's fun. Because, you know, at the beginning, it's not always going to be fun. You know, yeah, we're going to be scared. We're going to have all these feelings about something. And then all of a sudden, you know, I mean, it's like when you start something new, right? And you're just like, oh my God, this is so hard. And then all of a sudden it's like, wow, you look back and you're like, whoa, I did all that. So today's topic for body mindfulness is reflection. Now, I know you're probably wondering about some of my choices for body mindfulness, but body mindfulness isn't just about looking in the mirror and saying, I love you until you believe it. It's about making it stick. And how we make it stick is we start to go backwards. to whatever we need to heal whatever it is. It doesn't mean go back and stay there. It means look back, to, like older siblings say, look back to see how far you've come. But in this case, what triggers do you have? What feelings are you having that might be kind of feeding into this fear, or feeding into this inability to move forward, or feeding into this inability to continually love who you are and who you see in the mirror? It's like I said, body mindfulness isn't about what size you wear. It's not about how tall you are, what color your hair is, if you fit, society's expectations. It's about loving you in this moment as you are, who you see in your reflection, no matter where the reflection is, whether it's a car window, a store window, your bathroom mirror, a mirror in your house, a mirror in a friend's house. It's just seeing yourself in whatever place you are in right now, and just saying, hey, all right. I mean, you don't have to do that out loud, but you know what I mean. Excuse me. You know what I mean. It's about just loving yourself. And so a lot of the things that I am trying to really kind of instill in us are the things that will help continually move us forward so we don't go backwards. It's kind of like we're building this net below us. So when we do fall apart, we land, we bounce back up. All right. So reflect. Without a reflective practice, we end up repeating the same patterns over and over again, unable to reach our potential. This card asks you to sit in silence for a few moments and reflect upon what has been coming up for you recently. What emotions do you find yourself experiencing continuously? What situations do you find yourself in often? If you are finding unease in any area of your life, have you experienced it before, and when? When was the first time you remember feeling this way? How did your family handle these sorts of situations when you were young? Consider journaling around these questions and allowing whatever needs to come out to come out. When we reflect, the intention is not to fix, but simply to view ourselves and our lives with less bias and more openness. So that is huge, especially for body mindfulness. It's about looking at ourselves in exactly this, simply to view ourselves and our lives with less bias and more openness, to be completely open with that beautiful, amazing, handsome, gorgeous person you see in the mirror. That would be you. Not the person standing next to you, not the person standing behind you, you. And this is what reflection's about. Like here, what emotions do you find yourself experiencing continuously? If you continuously look in the mirror, I have a friend on Twitter who, I continually try to build them up. And that's not anything about me. It's just a lot of people do this for this person. And I made a comment and I said, this is what I want for you. And they're like, well, every time I look in the mirror, all I see is somebody who's ugly. And they're trapped in this mindset. They're trapped in this mindset because they haven't had the support. They haven't had, the people that I've been fortunate enough to have. They haven't had people tell them how amazing they are and how special they are. I mean, yeah, maybe they do online and on social media, but social media is one thing. But what about the people in our lives? When we're constantly being critiqued by other people who even have our best interests in mind, it's going to wear us down. So this, reflecting and going over these things that might trigger you, going over these things that might hurt you, going over these things that might bring you down and bring your self-esteem down, that's what we have to fortify. That's what we have to really strengthen. That's what we have to sit there and say, okay, I've got this. And if whoever comes at me with whatever, their helpful thoughts are, or people just being cruel out in the world, I have this shield now because I know better. And all these people who don't know me making these comments are probably coming from a place of insecurity. They're probably coming from a place of not feeling good about themselves. So they got to put someone down, that most of the time when people are bullied, most of the time when people are picked on or put down or this, that, or the other, it's because the person that's doing that probably has a shitty background. And they're angry and they're just taking it out on people. I would say it's very rare when they're just a standard asshole or a narcissist. And even that can be a mental health issue. So, it's up to us to not take what they say personally And it can be hard. It can be hard, especially when these people who might be bullying you are people in your own circle, people that you trust, people that you care about. And when we trust and care about people, we tend to take their thoughts about us to heart, because it's like, well, why would they lie to me? You know, but again, like I said, sometimes people try to be helpful or try to say, well, I'm just trying to be helpful. And that's how they cover it. And it's like, you know what? I look in the mirror and I know what people see. I know what people think, you know, well, I don't know what they think, but what I'm trying to say is I know what people see, and I have a very good idea of what they think my life should be. And, you know, you get this, but you're so smart, and you're so this, and you're so that. And yeah, you know, I am. And I'm coming back around to all this stuff, but none of that's been because of them. It's been because I've been struggling in my own mind, you know, but all of the professional help I've been getting, the journaling I've been doing, the suggestions for books for me to read from friends have been very helpful. Have been very, very helpful. But, you know, loving the fact that I'm alive doesn't negate the fact that I do have these thoughts and feelings that do bring me down. And this is why we need to reflect. What causes this? Where did this come from? Why do we feel this way? And it's important for us to reflect. I know it can be hurtful. I know it can be painful. This reflection is basically shadow work that we've talked about. The you know, that Carl Jung has pioneered. You know, it's hard. It's scary. But it works, because it's like I said, you know, you might have this beautiful garden, right? Maybe the garden is overgrown, it's got beautiful flowers, but then you see this one area, right? And this area, every time you go in there, seems to be expanding, because there might be this one or two weeds, or maybe more. You know, some weeds are beautiful, some weeds are just destructive. And these weeds that we keep inside of our head that continuously grow and grow and grow and kill all the pretty stuff, those are the negative things that we've gathered over the years. These are the negative comments, maybe the trauma you may have had in your life, maybe your own words that have put you down, the words of people that don't even know you that are making comments about you or making fun of you or snickering behind your back, and you hear them. Don't worry about those people. I know it's hard. I really do know it's hard. I've been there. I've done that. You know, I've been laughed at the weight I'm at now, and I've been picked on when I was thin, because it's like, well, you don't understand. But I hated my body in both situations. So it's ironic that now I'm learning how to love my body, and it doesn't fit society's standards. You know, and, you know, I was talking about that great line from the Barbie movie where it's like, if you want to lose weight, you have to say you want to do it because you want to be healthy, but you still have to do it. But for me, I do need to get healthy because of my heart. So, you know, we've talked about that before. But before, that was an excuse. I felt like, well, you know, I'm afraid that if I lose weight, people are going to make fun of me and say, oh, I mean, look at all these people, right? These celebrities who have, you know, they kind of, the plus size community felt very represented by them. Then all of a sudden they lose weight. You know, they decided to do a whole makeover on themselves. And it's not because they didn't care. It's just because it's like, you know what, I'm going to try something new. And then everybody turns on them. But they're still the same person. It's like, you know, so there's so much stigma on, you know, whether you are thin or whether you are plus size. Whether you're thick or thin. Right? Somebody's always going to make a comment. Somebody's always going to be mean. You know, but on the other hand, the fans of these people are still like, hey, leave them alone. This is their own personal choice. You do you, let them do them. But then I saw a comment on one of these things that says, oh, well, I guess I need to find somebody new to look up to. And it's like, why are you looking up to people in, you know, what we, you know, let me tell you something. I've met enough celebrities in my life because of people I know and because of situations I've been in, whether it's Comic-Con or just, you know, sibling used to be in the entertainment industry. And it took me years to wrap my head around this. They are just fucking people. That's it. They're just people who are a little bit more pronounced to us because we see them on the TV screen or on the big screen or on a stage singing, but they are just people. They're just people. And for some people to say, oh, they're so rude. You know what? For every celebrity that's rude, there's a person who's not a celebrity that's rude. But maybe they have a reason. Maybe it's because they're just trying, maybe they're not feeling well, maybe they have a headache, and they have 5,000 people coming at them demanding their time. And you know what? They deserve their space. If they're out at dinner, leave them alone. If they're out in the wild, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell them. And this isn't an instructional video on how to treat people. My point is, they're just people. So why are we putting our self-worth in their hands? Why are you making a comment that says, oh, well, I guess I need someone new to look up to? Because chances are, this could be a person, and I'm just speculating because I don't know this person. I just saw the comment and I thought, wow, that used to be me. I used to put my whole, it's like, oh, I feel so seen. I feel so represented. And then I started finding my own self-love, and I started finding my own body mindfulness and my own body peace. And I thought, oh, that used to be me. Until I realized the only person I really should be looking up to is myself. Myself first. It's great to look up to other people. But if you're looking up to someone because you feel represented by them, and then they lose weight or they gain weight or whatever it is they do, and they dye their hair a different color, and suddenly you don't feel seen anymore. You don't feel represented, and you make a comment that says, oh, I need to find someone new to appreciate, someone new to look up to. Don't. The whole point about body mindfulness is to love who you are in this moment, to not put someone on a pedestal and say, oh, you know what? I admire you because. No, we're all human. We all need to take care of ourselves. I mean, sure, it's nice to look up to someone and say, wow, I do feel seen. I do feel represented. Or, hey, look at that. You know, the world's starting to not be so afraid of fat people. Seriously, you know, world, don't be afraid of us. You might be missing out on some good stuff. But, I can see, and I think this is why a lot of people are afraid to get healthy. Because a lot of us need to. My body was not built for this weight. And I can honestly say that. But because I was supposed to be taller, my bones carry it a little bit better. But everything hurts. My knee hurts because I have a former knee injury. My knee formerly known as, but no, I have 2 previous knee injuries. And it hurts. It hurts. So it's, there's just certain reasons why we have to do the things we do. But you do you. If you're happy with however you are, that's fine. Because there's people out there, it doesn't matter what size they are. They're just like, yeah, screw you all. I love myself. Thick or thin, I love myself. Short or tall, I love myself. And that's what we need to strive for. We need to strive to a place where when people's words come at us, or people that we admire and look up to suddenly change, that it doesn't affect our entire being. This is where reflection comes in. What has caused us to feel this way? I know for me, people who mean well in my circle like to tell me things. And it's like, because they're like, oh, well, and now it's just like, you know what? I see what you see. I know what you know. I know what I need to do. But it's not that easy. It's not just I snap my fingers and my mindset changes. No, there's a lot that's going on in my head that is stopping me from moving forward. There's a lot going on in my head that's holding me back. And that's what I need to fix. This is where body mindfulness comes from. It doesn't come from the scale that you're standing on. It doesn't come from the diet books that you might be looking at in the bookstore going, I'm looking at these, but I feel like if I buy it, I'm pressured. And what if it just sits there? I can't tell you how many diet books I have, and they make better cup holders than they do help me, because diets suck. Let's face it. If you are struggling up here about all this, no matter what size you are, diet books aren't going to help you yet right now. They're going to get your body, maybe if you follow it word for word, day by day, they're going to get your body to where it needs to be. But are you going to stay there if you haven't fixed what's in here? You don't have to have a dinged up mental health to have a problem with it sticking in here. A dinged up mental health is a dinged up mental health. Inherited patterns, limited beliefs, possibly given to you by other people, is what's going on in here. When I did about the summer my mother was dying, she talked me into doing this one diet program. And it worked really well for my dad, but my dad doesn't have the mental issues I have. He's just like, yeah, okay. But I put on the weight I lost and then doubled it over the course of the 5 years following. And I'll tell you, they spent 1 hour out of a 4-month program. They spent 1 hour on emotional eating. 1 hour. And that was the class, actually. The class was usually like an hour and a half, and it's like half an hour of everybody sharing, and then 1 hour of, and this is what you can do instead of, when you do something great, instead of feeding it, try to think of something else you can do. It's not really their fault. I think the people that come in there, a lot of people don't realize how important emotional eating is. It wasn't until I was in therapy in 2017 that my therapist, who dealt with the trauma stuff and eating disorders, told me, because I told her, I said, I know emotional eating's made up. She's all, why would you say that? And I'm like, because everybody else tells me that. She's all like, I have a degree in this. It's not made up. She's all, it's not the more talked about eating disorder, but it is an eating disorder. And she's all, it starts in here. And, you would think 6 years later I would have gotten that, or 6 years ago, but sometimes I'm a slow learner. And I'm a slow learner in the sense that sometimes, we get attached again. Here it comes, right? That metaphor again, the itchy, scratchy blanket. Because it's been with us forever. It's like your baby whoopee, right? Like when you're a baby, you have that whoopee, the little thing that just brings you joy. And some people will keep their little stuffed animals until it's basically one ear left. But they're like, no, because I've had this since I was a baby. I have to keep it. I have to. It's and it's the ear, and that's okay. That's okay. All right. I mean, if that's your thing, but I'm talking about that itchy, scratchy blanket that has holes in it. That the moths have made their way through it, and it's hanging on literally by a thread. Like you pull that last thread, the whole thing's just going to disintegrate. That's what I'm talking about. That's that itchy, scratchy blanket. Instead of going for that really comfy one, because we get into these mindsets that this is what maybe some people say you deserve it. Or maybe some people say that, you're worthless and you don't feel this and you don't feel that. I mean, there's a lot of people who have dinged up mental health that don't have weight problems. I unfortunately discovered the sad world. I don't know how else to say it. The really destructive world, I should say, of, sorry, got a hair in my eye. Emotional eating. And like I said, it's one of the lesser known ones. Obviously, there are the more well-known ones, like bulimia and anorexia. And I apologize if I'm triggering anyone with that. But, it's exactly that. We feel so minimized. We feel so limited. But if you're feeding a feeling, that's emotional eating, guys. And that's why we have to reflect to fix it in here. If you don't have an eating disorder and you just hate your body, no matter what size it is, that's why we're here for this. Body positivity is great. Body mindfulness is better. Because, I think with body positivity, even that is starting to get stigmatized, right? Like people think, well, you have to be a certain size, you have to be a certain shape, or don't make fun of me. I have body positivity. Your words don't mean anything. And that's fine. But then we're still on the defensive, right? But when we have body mindfulness, we stop, and this is just my perspective, okay? This is my perspective. Because not everybody thinks that way. A lot of people think, oh yeah, body positivity for me. And it's helped me. I mean, I do really stick by body positivity. But I realized halfway through doing this that we're not really going just for the body positivity. We're going for the body mindfulness. And body mindfulness seemed to make more sense for the path that we're on right now, the journey that we're on right now. Because it's not just about being positive about our body. It's about really being mindful of how we take care of it, how we look at it, how we feel it, how we see it, what you feed it. And over time, that could change, or maybe, there's things you don't want to give up. So you lessen it, right? Because you're not feeding these feelings anymore. You're reflecting back on what has hurt you. You're journaling it. You're healing it. You're working on your self-love and your self-care. And you're saying, you know what, the person I see in the mirror, no matter where you are in your journey, That's the person I love, because that's the person I am with every single moment of every single day. You cannot run away from yourself. You can try, but good luck. If you're running away from yourself, you may want to check where your body is, because you might be dead. But sorry, bad humor. My humor goes a little dark, so I apologize for that. But seriously. But we don't want us to be there. We want us to find this beauty in ourselves and who we see in the mirror, while we're still here to appreciate it, while we're still here to put on that fancy outfit, or to find something nice. One of the things I love about some of these plus size celebrities is they're starting to make clothes that are cute. Before, it was just like, you put on a potato sack and that's it, and that's what you deserve. It almost felt like punishment, right? It really did. It felt like punishment. You could look like your grandma, which is no big deal. But then people say, oh, wow, nice outfit. Just steal it from your grandma's outfit. And then you start getting, but then who knows? You might like it. That was probably a bad example. I admit that was a bad example, because I have to say, my mom had some cute clothes in her closet. I mean, not that she was a grandma, because she was my mother. But yeah, I see a lot of adorable people of all ages wearing whatever the hell they want. And I think that's just it. We should be able to wear whatever the hell we want. Maybe that should be another topic for another day when we're done with body mindfulness, is ageism. Ageism is so dumb. Age is silly. Age is just a number. It just marks the time on earth. People always ask me why I get so excited about my birthdays. It's because after 3 years old, I almost didn't have one. I almost didn't have a birthday. I almost didn't make it to 4. I had a heart surgery that was a 50-50 chance of survival. Fortunately, I got the good 50. But I know a lot of kids who never made it into adulthood who had the exact same thing wrong that I did. According to my friend who is a nurse, what I had when I was born is actually very rare for girls. It's mostly in boys. And for a lot of people, it just heals itself on its own. But mine wasn't. So I had a hole in my heart, which makes me wonder, maybe I was a vampire in my last life and someone staked me. I know. See? Dark humor. But, you gotta break up the seriousness. Come on. But people are like, you are so wrong in so many ways. I am so wrong in so many ways. And I'm not ashamed of it. This is me. You get me for me. And you either like me or you don't. So nothing I can do about that. I prefer you like me, because I am a delightful human being. But yeah, I know. I say this on here. In fact, it's funny. Just sidetracking again. I told older sibling that it's like I said, it's so funny. I turn on the camera and it's like, ooh, my personality comes out. But then I turn off the camera and it's like, whew, back in my shell. Which, again, is ironic because that's part of my name, Shell. But, yeah, and if you see me on the street, don't call me that unless you know me really well. I know, I get very protective of my name, all right? I am a Shelly Marie or a Shelly to people that first meet me. I know that sounds dumb, right? Like, people call me Shell. And I'm not going to stop someone if they do it, but it's always felt like it's been reserved for people that are very, very close to me. But I know. Now you know a secret. Now you know my secret. It's like, watching you. Oh my God. I can tell I'm coming back to myself now, coming back to my Shelly Marie-ness, because I'm feeling goofy again. I'm feeling silly again. I'm feeling kind of just whatever. But I think a lot of that too, and why it's sticking, is because I have been doing a lot of reflection. A friend of mine sent me a link to a book for, it's a self-love workbook, and I think it's by Victoria Stevens, but I think that's her name. But boy, it's been opening up a lot of stuff, and sometimes memories get stuck on us. Sometimes old triggers get stuck. They're like that little thread that you want to pull, right? And then you're pulling and you're pulling and you're pulling and you're like, uh-oh, instead of just cutting it. Because you don't know what you're destroying. Maybe you just pulled half your sweater off of you and you're holding the thread, right? So when we see that little thread, maybe sometimes we just need to cut it and cut it loose, cut it away. We need to get rid of it. But the only way to do that is to see it, to find it, and then to heal it. And sometimes healing it means cutting it away. It doesn't mean, cutting it away and not dealing with it. Cutting it away is dealing with it. Facing it is that pair of scissors that's cutting that thread that's inside of you that's just dying to be yanked, right? And then there's sometimes when you have that spool of thread and you're just like, oh, I wonder how much is left, and you have to get to that bottom. But when you hit the end and you feel it yanking on the spool, it's time to let go. It's time to let go. We can hold on to that thread forever, or we can look at it, we can heal it, we can journal it, we can give it some love, we can give it some forgiveness, whatever the situation calls for, and we can send it on its way. And a lot of body mindfulness exists in that area. It exists in removing the limited patterns. It exists in removing the generational trauma. It exists in removing the limited beliefs and the patterns. I can't remember which one I said first. I'm sorry, but I got kind of lost in there. But yeah, it's about removing the limited patterns, the limited beliefs, the generational trauma, whichever one that you're struggling with. And, generational trauma doesn't mean that there was like this, consistent bad thing. It could be, maybe someone in your family struggled with their weight and the person before them may have struggled with their weight. And now this is what you saw growing up. So now you struggle with your weight. My mom always struggled with her weight. That's not a secret. Everybody knew it because she complained about it. Well, I shouldn't be eating this because, and how many times do we see that in a movie, right? I shouldn't be eating this because, and you're just kind of like, oh. And then one day it dawns on you that, oh my gosh. One day it dawned on me, it's like, oh my gosh, I sound just like my mom. And my mom was a foodie. My mom loved food. She'd try anything once. And the sad thing about it is I would see how excited she would get. But then, either if she was with people she was close enough to, it was like, well, maybe I shouldn't eat this because, and then she'd talk herself into it. But then at home, the woman weighed herself every day. And then she'd feel bad about it. And this is why I tell people, if you go out and have a steak dinner, today, don't weigh yourself tomorrow. Because guess what? It takes time to process food. Your body takes time to process stuff. Even if you went out and had a nice big salad, your body is still trying to process this stuff. You got to give it at least 24 hours to work itself through the system. But a lot of us do that. A lot of us, and some of us have great metabolism. I used to have a great metabolism. I could eat my heart out on Thanksgiving and I'd lose a pound because my body's like, oh my God, we got to get this out of us. And that's fine. Everybody's bodies are different. And that's what we need to remember. We need to stop shaming ourselves. Don't shame your friends either. Don't shame your family members. I'm sure that if you think they need to do something, they're fully aware of what they need to do. But also, if you are a person who's struggling, if you are a person who wants to reach out and ask for help from someone, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to do it, because sometimes people won't say anything because they're afraid to overstep. They're afraid to, be that person. And I'm not shaming any of the people that have been that person in my life. I'm not, aside from my doctors, which obviously, but I'm not shaming those people. I'm not, because they do have your best interest in mind and at heart. And they want you around forever and ever and ever. But sometimes when we do it, if we come at it the wrong way, it can be hurtful. And it can actually send them into a spiral. Because you don't know if they have a dinged up mental health or not. I've had dinged up mental health. And finally one day, someone was trying to be helpful. And I said, look, do you think I don't know all of this? Because I do. I stopped him like, please, just stop right there. Because everything you're telling me, I already know. I already know. I've had people make seriously questionable comments to me that know me very well. Like, oh, if you were thinner, you'd find a guy. That wasn't hurtful. That didn't hurt at all. Yeah, exactly. It did. And it's like, so basically you're telling me that, my personality's not good enough. That my, whatever they may say on the outside is just stupid and it's superficial. It's superficial. Sometimes it's what attracts a person to another person. Yeah. I mean, come on. We're all that way. We all have that. But you remember, the outside changes. The outside changes. People who start out this way could end up this way. People who start out this way may end up this way. You never know what's going to happen. Because we change on the outside. Our hair changes. Our faces change. Our boobs lower a little bit. right? Everything changes. No matter how healthy you are, no matter how much you might work out, the stuff is still going to change. Okay? But we can't stop that. I mean, come on. I have gray hair, but I color it because my gray hair is stupid. It's just all over the place. It decided it couldn't be uniform. It had to be in patches. So, but I am vain about my hair. So I admit, hey, I'm vain about my hair. I tried growing out my gray and I'm just kind of like, yeah, this isn't for me. I like my dark hair. I mean, I've spent so many years dyeing it all kinds of different colors that just kind of highlighted in my dark hair that it's like, now that I'm back to my natural color, it's kind of like, I like it. I want to stay this way for a while. So those things are just me. All right. And I know it probably feels like I've gone in 5 different directions, but these are the things we need to reflect on. These are the things that we need to look at and say, hey, you know what? This is true. I need to look in the mirror and love myself. I don't need to worry about what, X celebrity is doing up here, or, Z celebrity's doing over here, or what this magazine says, or what this book says, or what this dietitian says. Talk to somebody. If you're struggling, then talk to somebody. Get the professional help you may need. I can't force you into professional help, but there are self-help books out there. There are self-help workbooks out there. And they might resonate with you. I read a book that was based in trauma, and it was called Losing Your Pounds of Pain. And it talked about and I did feel seen here, but not in the way you would think. Because it says losing your pounds of pain. But the reason I felt seen was because a lot of people had been through the same trauma I'd been through. And they struggled with their eating as well, because they fed their feelings. Instead of, feeling our feelings, we were feeding our feelings. But once we get that, it's time to kind of sit in a spot and just go through it to grow through it, right? All these fancy sayings. And I think, had I chosen therapy at the time when I was doing my program, it probably would have been more successful. Because, I picked up some pretty bad habits that summer because my mom was dying and I was an emotional eater, and I kind of turned to that. And that's why, my weight loss only lasted for a few years, and slowly I started packing it on. And of course, the more, you start to gain the weight, you start thinking, great, I'm a failure again. And you're back in your head. And then you start feeding those feelings. And it's a bad hamster wheel. It's the hamster wheel you don't want your hamster to be on. You want them to be on solid ground without being dizzy and falling over, because they're so messed up from just going in circles over and over and over again. That's the wheel we have to remove. We have to remove that destructive wheel. And the way to do it is by asking yourselves these questions. What emotions do you find yourself experiencing continuously? What situations do you find yourself in often? If you are finding unease in any area of your life, have you experienced it before, and when? When was the first time you remember feeling this way? How did your family handle these sorts of situations when you were young? These are the things to journal. I mean, if you want to go out with your friends and you're absolutely panicking about what to eat, just go out and have fun. All right? I'm not trying to teach anyone bad habits, but don't worry about it the next day. If you want to go have fun, go have fun. If you want to go out with your friends and have a big dinner, you know what? There's no shame. There's a lot of times when I know I'm not in a good place, but I really want a nice, you really go out for these nice meals, and I'll flip my friends out because it's like, can I get a to-go box? And and the waiter, sometimes they look at you like you got 10 heads, and other times they get exactly what you're doing. Because what I'll do is I'll cut my meal in half and I'll pack it up. And the first thing I think is, ooh, I got lunch for tomorrow. Or dinner for tomorrow, whichever one you want. And I know for some people, they don't want to do that, take that doggy bag home. But I have no shame in that anymore. If I feel like I'm not in a place where, I'm not that hungry, because sometimes we're not that hungry, but we'll go out and eat anyway, right? Because we're planned to go out with these people. And you don't want to disappoint anyone. And, or actually, I shouldn't say you don't want to disappoint anyone. You just want to go out because you want to have fun, right? Just pack it up. Pack it up and keep it for later. There's no shame in that. There's absolutely no shame in that, because you're looking out for yourself. Don't worry about what other people think. Screw what other people think. It's about loving ourselves. It's about being mindful in our own bodies. It's about, again, seeing that person in the mirror and just having absolute respect. Absolute respect. Okay, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'm still trying to figure out tomorrow, guys. I know tomorrow is Self-Care Wednesday. I was going to do patience tomorrow. I'm not sure if there's going to be a show because I have a doctor's appointment literally at 8:30. So, don't worry, everything's okay. Everything's fine. I know I've had some weird health stupid shit happening this summer, like all these weird random things happening, and I'm absolutely fine, but it's kind of like, it was just weird stuff, right? It's like being poked by something you can't see and fighting something you can't see, going, whoa, did I forget to bob and weave? Did I forget to duck and something smacked me upside the head? So if I don't have a show tomorrow, I will do we'll do Thursday and Friday. Maybe I'll bump the Aloha Oracle this week. And yeah, well, I think I'm going to bump the Aloha Oracle this week, and Friday we're going to do day 24. So Thursday will be day 23, Friday will be day 24, and who knows, maybe if we have enough time, because if we have enough time, I'll do a separate Aloha Oracle. We'll see what happens. All right, so yeah, tomorrow there will be no show. Nothing wrong, everything's fine. I just have, I'm an adult. I have things to take care of. I have to adult tomorrow. So again, have a great, great day. You know what? I'm actually kind of glad that there's not a show tomorrow, because I really want you to focus in on these questions and journal about them. Tomorrow's Self-Care Wednesday. So, spend the next 2 days really kind of thinking about this, because Thursday when I come back, it's going to be about patience, which is going to be an interesting show because it is not my strong suit. I know. So, yeah, I'll see everybody back here Thursday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public. Anybody can watch, or you can catch the replay on YouTube under the Aloha Perspective, my Facebook page under the Aloha Perspective. And for the very short version of this, what I call the to-go version of this, you can find it on TikTok, which I do right after this one. And then I share that to Instagram as well. All right. Have a great, great day, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you back here Thursday. And remember, journal your little hearts out with these questions. Have a great day.